Hey, we've reached the last video. It's part 4, the last one. Got the model all finished up here. Looks pretty neat, pretty cool looking. Hope y'all have enjoyed watching me build and put this thing together and wiring it up and doing all the lighting and stuff. Hope you learned a little something on it. Guess now would be appropriate time to play Frank Sinatra's "I Did It My Way," or just my way, but I don't have that handy right now. So sit back, take a look. Sorry this thing's so long. It was about 40 minutes long. I had to cut it down from 2 hours due to my incessant babbling, but probably need to cut down some more. Enjoy. Hey folks, and welcome to part 4. I'll bring you up to date here on what I've done. I've gone ahead and got a little bit ahead of myself as far as building and filming, but I did put out one yesterday, preview to this, talk about what I was going to do. And what I've gone ahead and done on this model is I've gone ahead and put the little Titchy train group fire escape on and the longer ladder. I've added another little decal here, and I'm going to add one more. These come on clear right here. I'm going to kind of looks like Debbie Harry. I had a few different choices, and I figured, it's kind of punk, so we'll go with Debbie Harry. Put that one right above that and go on that, and that's all I'm going to do on this one here. And it's the same process as I did on the other one. On these clear ones like this one, they kind of got a raggedy edge. I still try to cut them out pretty close around the edge so you don't get a lot of that extra clear showing, because it does have a tendency to show up just a little bit on these until you spray on them. If you can see that or not on that one. That's a girl on a bomb riding it. And then on the back here, I've gone ahead and added some electrical meters and some wiring for it. And I'm going to bring up a service line right here. Get a stick to point so my big fat fingers aren't in the way. I'll bring up a service line right here for it, and I need to weather down this exhaust fan for the second floor. And I've also put in a functioning light right here for it. And that one I had to drill a pretty good, not a huge hole, but I had to drill a pretty good sized hole, and I kind of need to keep straightening this thing up because I had to get the resistor through it. And I've added the Chex Cafe sign off the back. This is a non-illuminated. It's just a hanging sign is all that is. And I think that's pretty much going to be on all that I'm going to do on the back. I am going to add I've been working on building it here. I need to trim it off. A little light that's going to go here. It's just going to be a just for looks. It's not going to function. On the other side, gone ahead and added an exhaust fan for the kitchen, a couple of exhaust fans for the kitchen here, and I need to weather those down and put some drips and stuff where the grease and stuff comes out. And then on the front, we've gone ahead and we've got our lights put in and our awnings put in and our support brackets for them. And that's where we're at right now as far as the model goes. On the windows, I decided, I originally painted these red, and I decided I didn't like the red because when I put it on the building, they faded away. They just blended right into the building, and so they went ahead and went with it's called an Inca Gold. It kind of matches the gold on the awning. And on these windows right here, what you've got to do with these is especially with these buildings we are, you have to put the glass in first before you do anything. Now I've gone ahead and put the glass in, and let me get a little piece of white paper or something here on the back where you can see it. And I put some, getting in the shadows. And I've gone ahead and I put some silhouettes in the windows for that one and for that one. Just some little furniture and stuff. But on these, when you put them on, take your windows and you cut out your acetate for it. And what I do is I will put the glue down and glue these down, and I'll sit them down. Now you can either go ahead and trim it out to fit the window first or trim it out to fit the window second. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It's a tedious process of doing it since they've got to fit in these holes. You can't leave any slop around the edges or it's not going to fit. But I'll go ahead and glue that down. I just use some testers, some cheapo testers, clear parts tape, and then I'll take a little bottle and set on top of it And I might have to do this a couple times to get everything to line up right, and just leave it. And then I go to bed or go do something else and just leave it sitting for a few hours until it comes back. And then when I come back, it's all tight, and I can take my X-Acto knife and some scissors and start trimming around the outside of this until I get it, where those other windows go, until I get it fitting. You can see if I shine it in the light just right, you can see it's got to fit the back of the windows. Now on these silhouettes right here, what they are is I printed these out on acetate, and these are available in the store, my store. I printed these out on acetate, and so you can cut them to fit the windows. And I've got several kinds here, if I can dig them out of my box, that I've been using. Just a second. Got windows and silhouettes and curtains and furniture and lights hanging, more curtains, that's just regular acetate there. More silhouettes, lights right here that hang down from the ceiling, and people doing different kinds of things, different, girls standing there, and people ironing and cleaning, and Daffy Duck down there, and Tinkerbell, and all kinds of neat little things, different kind of stuff. Just some, some goofy stuff, kind of make your building a little more interesting. If people's getting up close and they're looking at the windows, and they're like, hey, that's kind of neat. Kind of put something goofy in there. I've gone ahead and left the windows for the Frank's Cafe side white. I'm going to leave those white, and I'm going to probably work on these windows tonight. And this will, like I say, this will take a while to do these windows, because you've got to trim each one of these out individually and fit. It's nice if you can just cut a nice little square, glue it on there, and on your merry way, but it don't work that way. You've got to trim each one separately. On the front door, as you remember, it was red. I decided to go ahead and paint the ink of gold on it, but instead of painting the whole thing solid, I just kind of went ahead and did the highlights you do on a regular door to blend in with this right here, and kind of, when I get the glass in there, that's how that's going to look. It'll go with that, and that'll look kind of neat. And like I say, we're going to have the posters and stuff around here. I've got a few more little detail parts I'm going to do on this. Not a whole lot more. Then I'm going to start on the roof. I'm not going to put the windows in until almost the very last thing, because when I put this roof in, there's going to be, if you can see, there's going to be a floor between these two floors to divide them. It's basically just to block the light out, because I'm going to have a different kind of lighting on the bottom than I'm on the top, and I don't want those two lights interfering with each other. And then when I go to put the roof on top, I've got to be able to make sure if I push it down too far to push it back up, so I'll leave the windows out so I can get in here with something and push that roof back up. Because you can glue little stays in here, but the way I do my roofs, I don't have to do that, but I do have to sometimes push them back up if I block off a floor, but normally not too often. So this is just, this wire right here is just some black craft wire. It's copper. It's got a black coating on it. It bends pretty easy, so you can bend it. I use a photo etch pliers for getting nice sharp bends in this stuff, and these are photo etch pliers right here. They're just flat with brass, and this, if you've ever worked with photo etch parts, you know how delicate they can be. And what this will enable you to do is get in here and put a nice right angle on something real simple. I mean, you can do it. It's wire. You can do it with pretty much anything. But this just happens to be what I use, because when I work with some photo etch parts, that's what I like to use. Oh, one more thing before I forget. I was telling you on the front, if I can get the light right, you can see some of these bricks are a different color. They're a little darker, and trying to get it in the light right where you can see it. This light kind of washes everything out. But I just take just a little, that's not that one, that was too big. I just take a little miniature brush. These are for painting miniatures, if you can see that. They're tiny. This is an 18-0. And then get my big cheaters on where I can see what I'm doing. And then I'll just go through here with a few different colors that are kind of in this color range of brick. Terracotta, clay, red clay, Georgia clay, country red, any sort of things along those lines. Maybe some brown, light brown. And I will literally touch up an individual brick. And like I said on you're doing the stone, I pay no attention to where I'm at on these, because if a bricklayer is laying a big wall like this, he's not planning on, I want to have a colored brick, this color here, this color there. They grab what they grab and they stack them. So I'll just do a few of them. I may group a few together and put it like that and mix them up. And you know, you can't see it that well immediately on the video, but they show up. They just show up just enough if you're looking at it in real life that you can tell that it's been done and it's not overdone. And that's the key to a lot of this stuff. Sometimes I get a little carried away with decals. I get a little carried away with detail parts, and I almost feel like sometimes I overdo them. But you know, these are kind of like make-believe, so you can make them and believe whatever you want, because that's the way I like to do them. Sometimes I'll build one to kind of be prototypical. I'm not classically a prototypical builder. I like to build from my imagination, and that's like on these little pieces right here. I'll tell you this real quick. We're about 12 minutes, and I want to cut this thing short. All this is going to be a light, and I'm going to take this and see what I'm doing. I'm going to take this, cut that off, may cut off a little more, and then I'll drill a hole and we'll put this in the building about like that, if you can see it. And I'll paint this top green like those old lights are. This is a really complicated piece to make. This is a sequin that I buy in a bag of about 1,000 for I think $1, and a paper clip. Pretty magical. It's just kind of tedious to do sometimes because it likes to want to move around on you, and I've got a little handy apparatus here that I will set up and let it hold it while it dries. I've got a couple, 3 of these, but these are nice to have to let things dry, especially if you got something you want to put on a building and you don't want it to move. You can set the building there and you just sit there and hold it. That's a nice little tool. They're not much. I think it was $5 or something on Amazon. I don't know. Showed you what I did earlier. The only thing I've really done since then is I added a couple little details, like just a little post sticking out of the wall like it's a drain for a hot water heater with a little rust, little dirt running down. Also put in the service line hole. You can see that. Gone ahead and painted up the power lines for the service, where you couldn't get all the service boxes over here, so they had to run a jump line over across and down here where the service is at. Started weathering the exhaust fans and put a little scuds with grease and stuff that would come out down off of there. Gone ahead and added one more little decal here. It's sort of a punk looking. Gosh darn it! Can't get in there because of the light. Don't have a good light over there. Got a little punk rock looking girl. And like I say, we're going to put all of our little posters and stuff. Started cutting out some of those and put those there. Went ahead and glued up all the windows. And as you can see, if I can find one that will reflect right, you can see that's sort of, from the reflection there, that's sort of a square. And these are obviously not square, so you got to trim all this off. And it's not hard to do, it's just a little bit tedious, and I have misplaced my glasses that I use. But you can kind of take, if you got a good sharp razor blade, you can take it, and I'm trying to get this down where you can see it, and just sort of run it around this, use that window as a guide, and trim that stuff off of there. Just sort of, you know, take your time and don't get in a big hurry, and you won't eat a whole lot out of the window itself. And like I say, it's tedious, but it's not an insurmountable chore Just got to make sure it'll fit in these windows is really the main thing you're going for. Like I say, and when I get all of these done, I'm going to fancy them up a little bit with some silhouettes. Probably put some shades behind here, because like I say, I'm not going to detail the inside of here with people or anything, so I'll put some shades or maybe some white glue on the back and fog them up a little bit, but you can still get the idea of the silhouettes, and then the windows will just sort of look hazy and sort of will allow the light to penetrate and go through without and be able to obscure your vision. So on the inside here, I'm just dry fitting this piece right here. It's going to be part of the roof, and here's the other. This is going to be the middle one. And what I've done is I cut this out, just a piece of foam board. I've gone ahead and took some black, like a masking tape, and used it for the top, and I'll end up painting this to match the border around the top, because it's going to go down in here. And I've wired up a couple more lights. I don't want to sit this down in there just yet, because I want to keep it as tight as possible without trying to wear it down, sticking it in and out, just to keep the form, so I don't wear it. I don't compress it. I want to be able to keep it tight, so when I go to put it in there, I can glue it. And same deal with this one here. And I put in the floor in the middle I was telling you about, and that's just to block the light out. And I've taken some tacky glue and gone around the sides to seal that in. And then I put a light in for the second floor, and I kind of put it behind this wall. So if you're looking through the windows, you won't see it, but it'll give you the light. But you might be able to see it through this window here, so that's why I'm kind of going to go with the hazing up the windows some, so you won't see that light sticking in there. And then at the bottom, we've got one. I keep going up too high. The bottom, we've got one right here, and it's sort of behind this wall. Right here, so but you can see it. This one is a slow red, blue, green flasher, so it flashes red, blue, and green in sort of a really slow, rhythmic way, kind of give it that whole club feel thing. I was going to go with a fast flasher, but I thought, well, I'll try a slow one and see how that looks. And it kind of looks cool, but I'll show you that when it gets done. I've got some more wires, a lot more wires here that I'm going to have to start stripping down and putting together so I can get them all soldered up and put them on a single lead. And that's pretty much where we're at the moment. I'm going to go ahead, finish this this roof. And let me show you on this roof here, since I was able to dry fit it real quick. I use this as a black photograph masking tape is what it is. And on my roofs, sometimes you can use a 200 grit sandpaper or something like that and glue it down on top and make it look like it's a gravel roof. I use it looking like a tar roof, and I'll probably rip one of these off that's going to be on the inside so I get some light reflection going on the inside. Sometimes I take it off up here, but normally I don't, because I'm going to wrap it all around. But I'll just show you real quick here. I'm not going to do this whole roof because I don't want to waste a whole bunch of your time. Just tear that off, and then I will take, normally I'll get a fresh blade, I don't have one out. I'll take this and I'll cut it, and I try not to cut it straight. Normally I end up cutting it straight, but I actually try to kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle, just to give it some character and definition. And then I'll start taking this and I'll lay this down here, wrap that around, cut that off a little too long. And you can cut these in shorter sections and piece them together and kind of make it look a little more and just overlap them just slightly. And I'll go all the way up the roof like that, and then when I get up, I'll go ahead and start lifting a little section here or there, and I may let's just go ahead and try it. I'll go ahead and lift a little section up. Get some tweezers here. I'll paint this first. Is actually what I'll do. I'll paint it a pavement color. It's actually what it's called. It's called pavement. Just sort of a really dark charcoal. And then after that, I'll lift it up. Sort of fold it down just a hair. Maybe try to fold it under some, give it a little bump, take that off, and you can't see it without this being painted. But then you'll have that new piece You'll have that new piece sticking on there, and it'll look like it's been patched or something. And you can also take this Elaine's glue, tacky glue, when you get the roof all done, and you can go over a couple of seams here and there. Toothpick, one of my favorite tools. I'll drag it out across the seam and then up maybe some and over, just sort of a random pattern, kind of make it look like it's been touched up with tar, and that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and do this roof and this wall. May go ahead and do this roof. I think you get the general idea on how to do that. There's no sense in sitting here and showing you every single one I put on, and I'm not going to waste your time showing you simple stuff about stick glue on the back of this and stick it on the side of the building, and there you go. It's mainly about placement and trying to think how this would be used in reality. Like I say, I'm not a prototypical modeler, but I still want it to have some sort of look like real world functionality when it all comes down to the end. Another thing, real quick, I forgot to mention when I was talking about the little lights and stuff that I make like that. You have all kinds of building materials around you every day. Just little, you can get plastic, this acetate from bubble plastic, those bubble packages that you get. Look at those, see if the shapes work for you. If it's flat, you work for it. There's you some free window panes or window glass. There's all kinds of stuff that you can use, and maybe I'll do a little bit of a video on that one day of things. Right here, this I've got steel wool in here with a little bit of water, and what I'm doing is I'm making rust, real rust. And when I let that all dry up, kind of keep that on just to hold the moisture in. Just sit there and let that rust, and then I'll let it dry. Then you can sort of pulverize that, and you can have real rust instead of some rust paint color like that right there. I mean, it works great and all, but it's not real rust. It's fake. But there's all kinds of building materials around you, and I'm always looking for those. I'm always looking for a way to reuse something that is easily available for me, that can save me some money. At the end of the day, it's about saving money, because I think we all like to do that. So I'm going to do this. Hope y'all enjoy it. Hope maybe learned a little bit something on it. We're getting real close to the end here. I need to shoot another coat of clear on there, and I'll do that before I put the windows in. I'll probably touch these up. I went in and sprayed these before I started putting the glass in with sealer, and then I will put another coat on here. And I've got to touch this decal up right here because I tried some experiments that didn't work out well. That's what we'll say about that. But apparently that was a bad idea that I had. But that's how we learn. So I'll get back with you when I get this done. Talk to you later. Bye. Alright, it's a little while later, and I've gone ahead and got the roof in on this one side. I have to do the other side. And as you can see, I take Elaine's white glue and I just glue it all around the edge, and that soaks in pretty good and seals down. And I also take it and I put in like what looks like little tar lines where the roof's been patched. And then when I paint all this, it'll look all nice and even. because this will, you know, this white glue, it dries out pretty clear, and all it'll leave is a texture, and it shrinks down quite a bit also, but it leaves just enough there to give the impression of tar lines. I also use this on asphalt for like where they patched potholes and things along those lines, and like where you've got a little hole on your asphalt, just put that glue on top of it, a fake hole obviously, put that glue on top of it, and then when it dries out, it'll look like and you paint over it, it'll look like an asphalt patch. So same concept, do that, and then I'll probably do this one the same way, same kind of roof over here. This is the divider wall that I was telling you I was going to put in, and when this gets everything gets dry, I'll paint this up to match the outer rim. And hey, we're back and we're almost done here. Got the windows put in the building all the way around. We've got our little posters put on our club in the front. Just kind of got a little crazy with those, put them there everywhere. If you remember the old days, they used to put up playbills and posters for stuff around clubs. Pretty heavy in some parts of the country. Done a bunch on the side here. Cut these out of, printed them up. I went ahead and used both sizes, but just cut those up. I used quite a bit of them. I've still got quite a few left. I'm probably not going to put any more on, but I might put a few more on. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Just get that in there where you can see that. Got a few on this. Put a couple on the back also. But we've got our went ahead and got our electrical service put in. Got our little light. This is just a little. It's a do nothing light. It doesn't do anything. It's just for looks. Got a functional light here. Got like I say, went ahead and got our roof put on. Now it's time to start doing some roof details. And I've got a few little parts picked out here. I got a first coat of paint on them. They got to be weathered down and aged. I'm kind of just sitting them on here and deciding where I'll go. And if I put this air conditioning unit up here, I'll take some wire and I'll put a service wire on it just to give it a little more looks. Got another little AC unit here that we can throw up here on the roof and do the same thing I did with the wire. Maybe a roof vent, one of those little air directionals. Could be. I got another little vent here I could either put on the roof for the kitchen downstairs, or we could move it back here on the back. If you want to get real technical about it, some places require code that it vents out the roof, and other places you can vent it out the side. May use this, may not, don't know. Just kind of, I don't want to get it too busy up here. I'll also take a paper clip, and I will go ahead and show you what I'm going to do there. I'll cut it off, and say we got a bathroom in the house, because you know you got to have vents for your bathroom, so your pipe string, and it'll just take it. I'll get some glue later, and I'll just stick that in there, push it down, I'll paint it. We'll have a little roof vent here, put a couple over here, maybe one or another one over here for our air conditioner. It's just one of those little tiny detail things that kind of adds to it. Got our lights all hooked up, and I'll show you those later with them on when I get the rest of this done. And I've gone ahead and put a where's my wires at? Gone ahead and soldered them all together. Gone ahead and soldered them all together, and put some shrink tube on them to secure them, and just left out 2 leads. I didn't really show you how to put the lights in. It's not that hard to do. It's just sort of, you got to play with the placement. I'll get a light in here where you can see. You can see I got a light here in the back. Actually, it's in the front on this one, and I placed this one in the front, kind of in between these 2 windows. And this is this light here on the bottom. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and hook this up real fast. These are running. I've got these running off a 9-volt battery right now. See, we got our one flashing here, but I'll show you these when they're on with the lights off. This one down here in the bottom, it changes colors real slow. It'll go from green to blue to red. I was going to do a fast one, but I decided just to do a slow one instead. And you can see how that changes colors. You can really kind of pick up the color on the front wall where it's changing its colors out some. And that kind of gives it, looks like there's a club here. And like I said, I used this and divided this side right here, right about here between these two windows, because on this top floor I've got a warm white light that lights up these three windows right here, and then I've got a warm white that lights up these 6 right here, and also the first floor. It's just one light right there in the bottom lighting all of those up, and it's just a piece of foam core that's glued to the bottom of the roof and let it dry, and it's got the light mounted in it. These are LEDs, so they don't get real hot. You ain't got to worry about anything catching on fire. And I went ahead and had to cut this divider wall out so I could run these wires on this side over, and we got our wiring for our lights for the front. Those come out, and then the one in the back. So, but you'll see more of that later when it gets a little darker and turn the lights off. Like I say, right now I'm just going to sort of play with this thing, see if what I want to do. Maybe put a spiral vent there, and one there, and maybe that there, and maybe that there. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now. So I'm going to do this. I'll get these weathered down. Basically, just going to put a black wash on them. Is all. Maybe highlight some of the higher parts of them with something. I'll figure that out when I get to it. But that's where we're at. And as soon as we get this done and put a little coat of spray on this roof here to seal these in, we can call it done. So back in a bit, take care of this. See you in a few. Okay, we've got our roof details put on, and we've got what I've done. So I decided to take the air conditioning units and place them. They've been just weathered down with just a watered down black wash, and took a silver Sharpie, which I don't know what I've laid it now. Just your basic silver Sharpie, and just kind of highlighted the rims a little bit and things, just to give it a little extra definition. Is all. I've still got to spray the flat on this and maybe do a couple of little patches. I showed you that earlier by taking the tape. I'll just go ahead and do one right now. Take the tape, and what you can come in here and do is you can lift up. All I did to weather this is I painted it black. I painted it a color called Pavement, which is just a kind of a dark charcoal gray. And I use these handy little pliers here that are reverse. Well, I don't have to sit there and hold them down. And I'll take this, lift it up, position this stuff right. Stick it underneath there. Maybe rough it up just a little bit where I stuck it by folding it under, giving it some look of being repaired. And I may put a couple of those on there, and you can see it just looks like a patch. You can see that. And you can do a few of those, 2 or 3. Don't get carried away unless you want to. It's up your model. So, went ahead and put just a little temporary 9-volt on here, so I got to keep fooling with those stinking alligator clips. And we'll go ahead and plug this thing in and see what it looks like. Kill some lights here. You can see that we got our warm white on this 3rd floor. You really can't tell with the same kind of bright flashing here, but you can see how the colors change on this 1st floor. and down here, and you'll see it the way it glows here. It'll change from blue to green to red. Just a real subtle change. Kind of make it look like a nightclub. Break up the monotony of it all being the same color. Give it some action and things like that. So you'll see that changing down here on the floor, but it'll show up in the windows. And if you wanted to make it brighter, you could put like a piece of white underneath here to give it some reflection, and it'll brighten it up quite a bit. You can see how that kind of brightens it up. Sun just reflecting off my hands. And this here is just warm white over here on this side is all that is. And we've put our little, just some silhouettes and stuff in the windows. Just to give it, all I did for the second floor with the club is that I just put in some shades. That's all. And things. And some regular little apartment type furniture, silhouette stuff for the windows for that apartment there. And then on the other side, same thing, some fart. But we got gotta have our girl in the window. That's sort of one of my, I wouldn't call it a trademark, but it's sort of indicative of some of my work. Just put the little girl in the window there and stuff. So that's what it kind of looks like. I don't know if the lights are on right now, so you're getting kind of a grainy look. Got our light in the back shining down. And we turn our lights back on. So, there we go. I'm calling this puppy done. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Be sure to check out my website, www.davart.net, davart.net. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. Comments, what you think, what you like, what you don't like. I'm still learning how to make these videos. Hopefully I'll get better at them as I do some more. I'm not going to do one for everything I build. Obviously it takes up too much time. How much time do I have in building this thing here? Somebody asked me how, honestly, between working on other things and trying to deal with the getting ready for winter and trying to film this and editing the film, I don't know. I would say probably 15 to 20 hours maybe, but that's also a lot of making the decals, designing them, building these little signs and stuff, designing and looking for posters and printing those up. I mean, I can make all these decal sets available as they are if a person wants to build a building like this. Everything from the awnings to the posters to the decals and all that stuff. And for the signs, you'd have to make the plastic signs. Went ahead and also put in the electrical lines there. You see those? I don't know if I mentioned that or not. That's just the craft wire. And once I spray it, that'll dull those down. They won't be shiny. So, hope you like it, and we'll talk to you later. See you next time. Bye.